Hello and welcome to the final video in this short course in understanding anxiety. The idea of this short course is to give you a really good insight into my style, my approach, my process if you like, on helping my clients manage their anxiety, and it's really born out of my own experience of trying to navigate my own anxiety that I've experienced. So what I thought I'd do in this video is just provide a very brief overview of the things that we've looked at so far and give you some ideas of next steps if you'd like to carry on working with me either via this app or on a one-to-one basis. So I just want to thank you for taking part in the course. I really do hope that you found it to be useful, and there are some tools here that you might be able to put in place in your day-to-day life, and some information that perhaps you might not have come across before. So recap on what next. As I've said before, this is for information, can't replace one-to-one therapy, but an important part of the therapy journey is understanding how the mind works, hence the name of the app. So in the first video we talked about what is anxiety. We talked about it as we all have anxiousness, we all have worries, we all have things going on in our lives that are going to consume some of our thought from time to time, and then we compared and contrasted that to the mental health condition, the mental health presentation of anxiety, and I broke it down into what I call the 4 pillars, the 4 areas that really do determine our, not just experience of anxiety, but thinking of it more broadly, our experience of life. We have our psychology, our thoughts, our thought patterns, our learned behaviours, and the impact and of all of the events over the course of our life, and how that is informed and shaped and directed our psychology as we find it today. We then have our physiological health, our health moment by moment by moment, how rested we are, how stressed we are, how nourished we are, how hydrated we are, how much energy that we feel that we've got on the inside. As that varies and fluctuates throughout the course of the day, then that has a direct correlative effect on our mood. We then have our physical health, the structure of our body as it is, which changes over the course of our life, of course, and that my view and my opinion is that we need to be proactive in looking after our physiological and physical health throughout our entire lives, so that we can enjoy not just good physical health but also good mental health and emotional well-being. And then finally we have our 4th pillar, which is our external world. It's the world that we live in, and our environment, our relationships, and I include within that our socio-economic position, our financial position. So the environment we live in, of course, has a big bearing on how we feel, the quality and depth and breadth of our relationship, the different types of relationships that we have in our life, of course, all play a role in our mood. Our work, what we do for a living, or our financial position certainly has an effect on our mood. If we are struggling financially, then the only outcome, as I see it, is that we're going to have worries that may lead into anxiety. All of these different areas of our life require almost constant attention and management, and that's really tough to do. But when we bring that level of responsibility and proactivity to it, and we bring it into our conscious mind, then we can start to illuminate areas of our life that may not be working for us, and then go and take action in order to improve our lot in life. We then moved on to think about it from a different perspective of, there is part of me that we often have, our main source, as I see it, of discomfort and challenge and anxiousness and worries or low mood, is that we have 2 trains of thought running concurrently, but in opposite directions at any given point. We can have one mindset that is very positive, very future focused, sees things in a good light, and then we can have another side of us that we perhaps try and ignore or repress or suppress, which is thinking about things in more negatively. People often come to me and would say things like, I just need to be more positive, I need more self-confidence. Well, oftentimes, as I see it, and I see it in myself, is that we already have the positive mindset, we already know the actions that we need to take, we already know the conversations that we need to have with people. It's that there is something that is holding us back, kind of in the shadows, that we don't really want to address. The bulk of the work that I do with people in a one-to-one setting, and have had to do for myself, is to look into that side, to quieten down that more positive, future-focused self, all of the shoulds and the woulds and the coulds and the judgments that we can hold over ourselves, and to think why it is that we are perhaps held back by something that we're not yet fully aware of in our deeper parts of our mind. So we've got these different component mindsets that are going on within our mind, within our psychology at any given time, and understanding those different points of view that we would have on the inside, I think it's critical. In the longer course, the 6-part course that on understanding the psychology of anxiety, which is in the premium content, if you like, then we look at those individual mindsets, how they develop, why they develop, and what we can do about it over that slightly longer course. If that resonated with you, I really would encourage you to give some thought into trying that course. There's lots that is understood about different mindsets, about different parts of our mind, different viewpoints that we may have, different inner dialogues that we may run, and to get a good handle of what they are for you, how you are hearing the world on the inside, if you like, I think will be incredibly useful and incredibly powerful. So please do consider, if my style resonates with you, if that the concept of having different parts of yourself on the inside, if that connected with you, then please do give some thought to joining the more in-depth course. We then looked at the physiological technique of how to get out of your head, where we looked at when we change the visual focus, the point of visual focus through our eyes, how that can change the structures of our brain and their operating mode so that we become more focused on the outer world rather than the inner world. When we get stuck in our own thoughts, when we ruminate, then that can lead us to experience anxiety, even if our immediate environment, there's nothing going on. For example, if those thoughts bubble up from wherever those thoughts bubble up from, we can find that may be the catalyst for experiencing anxiety. So having this, the first tool, as to switching up the focus of our attention from the inner world to the outer world, I find it to be really useful, really powerful, and something we can do essentially anywhere without any cost or any kind of limitations. So there's that tool where we focus our attention very closely at something, then we focus our attention something further away, then we focus our attention further away still, and then we bring it back through that, and we find that we become more focused on the outer world rather than our own inner world. We then looked at the mind, the brain and the body connection, and started to think about how our mind, our individual psychology, communicates and interacts with our brain, the physical structure within our head, and also that our brain isn't just in our head, it's connected to every single cell within our body, and that we experience our anxieties physically. It brings about physical changes, chemical and electrical changes within our body, and it is that full body, that full system experience that we could describe as anxiety. Anxiety isn't just a collection of intrusive thoughts, or we might call irrational thoughts. It is how our body prepares itself to go into that fight or flight or freeze state. And if we move on to think about us as who we are being a complete system, then it makes it easier when we are trying to approach it purely from a cognitive, intellectualizing perspective. We can't just do it with our heads. We need to think about it in terms of our entire physiological and physical health, and approach it from that way in a much broader and more holistic view. And then we had the guided meditation session where we looked at coherent breathing, we looked at the Anapanasati meditation as Buddha himself taught it. We thought about the different sensations that we could feel initially within the structures of the face, and then we went on to do the guided visualization, the inner weather. What are we actually feeling on the inside, and can we communicate almost with our subconscious mind? Can we open a line of communication for our subconscious to show us in a mind's eye visual form what we're actually experiencing moment by moment. All of these tools are free, and you can circle back and use them again. The guided meditation, for example, you may want to come back and use that more regularly. You'd be very welcome with my compliments. So you've got a set of initial tools which I hope you can start using in your day-to-day life, but what next? I have a more detailed understanding anxiety course. It is the 6 principal psychological causes that I see in myself and others to what causes anxiety. We've already covered one, being the first of this session, where we have two trains of thought running at the same time. And there are 6 in total psychological processes to do with those different parts of our mindset that I see contributing principally to our experience of anxiety. Within that course, start to break it down as to what you can actually do about it. By understanding, knowing yourself and those individual parts of your psychology better, you can start to have a better relationship with yourself on the inside. It may feel that anxiety is coming from outside in, and there may well be some truth in that. However, as I see it, in my opinion and my view, the bulk of our anxiety is from inside out. It's how we see ourselves on the inside and the relationship that we have with the different parts of our minds, those different mindsets, that it is the principal cause of our anxiety, in my opinion. You may disagree, and please do so. Please give me your comments and your feedback and your thoughts. It may be that you experience things entirely differently. However, this is my best understanding of my own experience and that of others, and really would love for you to come on that journey with me and to see if there's more in here, what I've got to share, that resonates with you. And then once we get through the 6 psychological processes that I see and that are the principal foundational reasons that we experience anxiety, then there's the 2 things that you can do. And those 2 things may be work that takes up the rest of your life. I am firmly of the opinion that as somebody that has had fairly acute mental health challenges in my life, and that I do the work that I do with one-to-one clients, that it will be the job and the work of the rest of my life in order to manage and maintain my health and to improve it as best as I possibly can. And that is what I'm talking about there, the 2 things that we can continue to do throughout the rest of our life to continually be moving ourselves forward, to be moving and improving our mental, physiological and physical health, and the quality and depth and breadth and types of relationships we have as we go through our journey of life. Those 2 things, they're to do with our physiological health and about understanding ourselves more and at greater depth throughout the different versions, the different parts of ourselves, the different needs that we want, the different hopes and aspirations and things that we have for our life. So that's the understanding. So if you have liked what you've seen so far, you like my style, my approach, I know it's quite direct and forthright, I know it's a bit conversational at times, then please do consider coming along and working with me in this way or in a one-to-one way more. And then we have the MindWorks, which is my complete course. It is everything that I've come to learn about therapy, about psychology, about meditation, about the subconscious mind, about our physiological health, and it's something that we'll work together on, and it will kind of unfold over the next year, and I'll continue to develop it and continue to refine it, and each week there'll be new content for you to get involved with. Some of that may resonate very, very deeply with you and provide kind of those epiphany moments, those aha moments where you get things really do drop in place. Some of it may not be. I'm going to include all that's worked for me. I'm also going to include the things that didn't really resonate with me but may resonate with you. I don't believe that there's any one-size-fits-all approach. I think we have a generalised process that we could follow in order to understand ourselves and recover from our mental health challenges. But I'm going to include everything that I've ever found, tried, used, and hopefully provide you with the most complete and comprehensive course on anxiety and mental health that exists. That's certainly my aspiration for what I'm doing here. And we've also there are also going to be individual courses on burnout and fatigue, understanding what it is, what burnout actually is. It is a recognised psychological phenomenon that principally has been studied in healthcare professionals, but it's something that be opened up much more broadly in terms of how we think and we feel about not just our livelihoods and the work we have to do, but about how we feel about the effort that our lives take upon us, and also how that links into fatigue. Fatigue isn't tiredness. Fatigue is a tiredness that doesn't go away through rest and sleep. And these two things are two sides of the same coin, if you like. So there's been some fantastic research in recent times about what is going on at a subcellular level for those of us that know what fatigue is, where we feel constantly drained and lethargic and no energy, and then how that affects us from a psychological perspective, where everything seems to be such a chore and we're hanging on for the weekend, or we're hanging on for the next break, the next holiday, whatever it might be. This is an area that I'm really, really proud of, because the things that I've put together in here draw on not just the psychological aspects of burnout, or draws on the very modern research in terms of fatigue and what is going on at that subcellular level. And once we understand that, then there's lots of research and studies from the world of sports science and from the research into metabolism and weight management that all fit together in terms of understanding how our body is using energy in a moment by moment basis, and how we can improve how our body uses energy at that subcellular level in order to give us that feeling of vitality and energy and get up and go, if you like. And then the final course is on motivation and procrastination, a very common conversation that I have with people, particularly in the area of motivation for healthy living, or motivation to maintain a weight management plan, or to make changes to one's lifestyle in order to improve their physiological and physical health, is that the need for motivation, the energy it takes to maintain the consistency to put in place those lifestyle changes. And a word that has entered into our common language very recently, in my opinion, procrastination, that we don't do the things that we should be doing in order to look after our health, and we find that we are not being as productive or efficient or as proactive as we would like to be, and we call that procrastinating. I think that the procrastination that we're experiencing may be the need for rest, or that it's not sustainable for us to be constantly productive and busy in the way that we'd like. I think there's a component in terms of modern technology that we use our phones consistently, or we're constantly being bombarded with information through our screens, and that may be overwhelming and overloading us, and we'll look at that in some detail. And also some of the received wisdom about setting a goal and moving towards that goal for lots of people is actually counterproductive. So in the introduction to motivation, we look at what it is that actually motivates human beings at a fundamental level, and that is the avoidance of discomfort, that we all we want to avoid things that are uncomfortable. And if we are looking to make changes within our lifestyle, that may mean that we have to exercise, we may need to change to food that suits our long-term health goals more than food that tastes good, that's quick and easy, that makes us feel good, then all of those things are uncomfortable initially. So learning how we can lean into that discomfort and leverage it in certain ways in order to give us that motivation that we need. The secret to motivation and the received wisdom for motivation about setting a goal and imagining how good we'll feel once we've achieved that goal really runs counter to what the psychological studies and research says about what motivates us. So again, this is work I'm really, really pleased with, really proud of, and very happy to share with you, because I think based on using this in a one-to-one setting and helping people to get great results, that this is going to be something that, if this is an area of concern or challenge to you, that I think you'll find very, very useful, very interesting, and perhaps turn some of what you've thought about a positive mindset or being more proactive on its head, so that you actually can get to where you want to go. So there it is. That's the free introduction to anxiety, and an overview of what you can expect if you did want to continue to work together with me via this app. And of course, if you prefer to work in a one-to-one setting, in a one-to-one way, either in person or via Zoom, then please just do get in touch via the message facility or the other usual channels. So thanks very much for taking part in this anxiety course. I really do hope it's been useful for you, and I do hope that if what I do resonates with you and my approach resonates with you, that you consider working with me in going forward. Any questions, comments, please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.